We are bringing you a series of foam flies for you to try on your favorite waters. Brent will demonstrate some methods of creating neutral buoyant flies as well as floating flies that have been proven over the years. Let's go to the bench. The Dragon Nymph is one of Brent's earliest creations. It has a strong track record around the country. This fly is designed to be neutral buoyant and fished on the bottom with a full sink fly line. The fly is to be moved in painfully slow hand twists. The take on a Dragonfly nymph can either be very soft or very violent. Be prepared to catch the fish of a lifetime. The hook is a Tiemco 7989 dry fly salmon hook size 6. The thread is light olive flat thread. The body is light olive furry foam. The mono eyes are in medium olive. There is a dub thorax with light olive blended seal fur. The wing case is a 1/4 inch olive scudback. The legs are pheasant tail fibers.
Well, good day, folks. The first fly I'm going to bring you today on the tying with foam is my Dragonfly Nymph here. This is a good pattern here that I've used for many years, and a lot of anglers have good results. It's a neutral buoyant fly. It doesn't really float. I use it to furry foam. It allows me to get this fly down on the bottom where it belongs. I don't want it to rise up in the water column at all. I just want it kind of be neutral there, but doesn't get hung up in all the junk. And also, it's important when these fish grab a big dragon nymph, which they do bite the trout apparently, and if they feel a heavy fly, I know one thing, they drop it. I've fished patterns that were heavily weighted, so they got them down with maybe floating line. I don't know what they're using for lines, but I like to use a full sink line and get it down, lay my line on the bottom, and fish this very slow, like very, very, very slow hand twists. I'm using Salmonfly light wire Salmonfly hook here. I like the bend on it. I've got a 6/0 flat. This is kind of a flat nylon thread here. I'm going to coat my shank with a thread, and then we'll come in with some of our furry foam here. Tie that in about here. Tie that down really nice and tight so it doesn't roll around on you. Come to the end of the thorax. Then we'll just wrap. We'll get a kind of a tighter wrap at the end, and then I'm going to just let a little pressure off, and I can shape my fly, get it that oblong shape of the dragon nymph. And it comes along. After you work with that a little bit, you can get the feel of how much pressure to put on it. But it makes a really nice, furry little body, which they do have. And let's go in the front here now. I'm going to put some monofilament eyes on, or mono eyes, size medium. These are in olive. On the front, I'll come into my point where the legs. If you've been following my videos or whatever over the years, you'll notice I used to use church windows for the legs, but I found the pheasant fibers here from a ringneck pheasant tail, just like they're used on the deer hair gompus. They really kick. I like the way they move. So I'm going to use a light or an olive pheasant tail here. Got these fibers laying out on the side. They're just really durable. They kick really good. I just like that better than the church windows. The church windows look really cool, and they fished well too. I'm not saying that the fly produced well over the years. I just kind of going back, you change it up a little bit. The nice thing when you tie your own flies and whatever you do, you might see something else that might improve it even more. It works for you. So that's how flies evolve. Over the years, we all share ideas, different materials, techniques. That's it, what makes it so interesting. I'll come in here with some scudback, this 1/4 inch olive. Come right there, tuck that in. I'll bring in some little bit of dubbing here. I'm bringing in a dubbing blend I've made myself. It's a real light colored chum pry and the semi-seal, the new color just come out, and I also mixed 50% of olive seal fur. And then I threw in a little bit of chopped angel here in their golden olive. So I'll just X around the front of those eyes a little bit, come around the thorax. I like the seal because I can pick that out for the bottom. I just like a little bit of a beard on the bottom. Now I'll just take the scud back over the top, nice and flat, and then I'll fold it when I cut it here, and it'll give me a little bit of a V on top. We'll finish it right there, and do a little head cement, and you got yourself a really nice dragonfly nymph. Grab yourself a bodkin needle or a wire brush and get some of those dubbing off the bottom. I like the looks of that. So there it is, my first fly there, the foam fly, and it's neutral buoyant for the reason you want to use the right materials, keep you in the zone. That's selecting the right materials, very important. So if you're watching and others tie, or you see recipes along the way for different patterns, there's probably a reason, a very good reason why the creator, whoever developed the fly, is using particular materials. Don't wander off too much from it. Remember what might be soaking up water or water repellent and so forth. So they all have their own characteristics. There's a reason. So let's go on to the next one.
Our next fly is another one of Brent's early creations. This hopper floats like a top and has fooled a lot of nice fish over the years. The fly floats extremely well, which makes it a great top fly for a dropper rig. This hopper also works very well on lakes when the fall season blows these huge bugs near the shoreline. The fly is tied on a Daiichi 1280 size 6 hook. It is wrapped with light brown 6/0 thread. The body is large larva lace closed cell foam in yellow and highlighted with brown marker. Turkey quill wing. The deer hair collar is tied bullet style. Tan grizzly rubber legs are added for some extra kicking action.
Well, folks, here's our next fly in the vise will be my hopper. I just can't express how much I enjoy hopper fishing. It's one of my favorite times of the year. You want a fly that'll float really well. This one absolutely gets it done. The secret I found is this larvae lace foam. This is large, nice, thick foam. Super soft, really nice to tie, very, very, floats very, very well. It's a lot better than the craft foam that we use our cutters and so forth. It floats, but not as good as this. So larger flies, I like to use this larvae lace foam. Now, what I do is I put my foam on from the bottom here, so I'm got it notched out the back, and I'll just pierce through the tail there, and I'll tie the bottom up. What happens, a lot of us tie with it's a lot easier just to place the foam on top and then wrap it down. But trouble is that leaves that slit exposed, and I like to have a nice, I'm worried about what the fish look at more than what I see, and I'm going to cover that up with a wing anyway. So this way I like to do it. I just tie from the bottom up, get about four segments, depends on the size. This is a pretty large one here, size 6. You can tie these in a few sizes and match your hoppers. They're going to be smaller at the beginning of the year, of course. So we just go ahead and get the next tie-in point for the next segment and get a couple turns in there, and you've got, give a little tug, you can tie that down really nice. But you can see on the bottom it really looks nice and smooth. Make sure I get this all bound down real good. I got to get my deer hair bullet on this one. So we've got the bright yellow bottom, as most hoppers are tied, bright yellow. Another thing you can do, check a lot of times, you might be tan or whatever, just take a little marker pen, and when you go after they're tied like this, You can color it, and you'll get the segmentation. You'll still see it, and I'll put a little bit on the back there too if I want. But you can just change the coloration with a felt marker. You can do orange and brown. You got a bit of a kind of a coppery color. It's really cool too. So then I'll come in with my turkey quill wing here. Now this I use Artist Fix-A-Tiff in here. I spray these my quills a lot of times so they don't split. It makes them a lot more durable. I take a really nice wide section out. I'm going to foam that around lay that on there. So I'll have to just kind of shape that a little bit like a turkey quill would be, or a top. Get that shape. I'll lay it in over the top, comes out about to the end, and I'll just get some nice turns around it here, nice tight turns. 6/0 thread, comes around a little bit, looks pretty good. That looks pretty good right there. But see how it's nice and solid, won't come apart on you if you spray it. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here about 1/8 of an inch back or so. I'll grab some deer hair from my collar. This is nice, kind of a thinner hair, I'd say. Got lots of length to it, but it's not super coarse. And make sure you clean the underfur out. Use a bone comb if you like. Make sure it's clean. And put it in our hair stacker. Tips first. Get it really good on your hard table, then you get a good stack coming out. Get the tips are nice and black, you know you got a good job. Then I'll come in here, I grab it with the other hand because I want to trim these butts off straight. Then I'll just come with these butts across at about a 90 degree, and I just catch them with the thread. Take a couple turns, at least 2. So I've just caught the butts. Now when I go around, I can tie these butts down so they don't poke through the bullet head when I'm done. And you want to make sure you get them wrapped right to behind the eye. So I'll come now back to about 1/4 inch back to my tie-off place. And I need to find my little bullet hopper tool. This is just a rubber ring with a hole in it here. You can buy a little set of those bullet head tools, pretty reasonable. Any shop will have them. Does a nice job of pulling that hair. There's 3 different sizes. Really, and a bullet head is really nice to throw. I'm just going to take a couple of whip finishes on this. Now I need my rubber hackle, which I just grab here while I step away for 1 second. I forgot my important little kicker legs, and that's a rubber grizzly hackle, and I'll just come in. This is not a real light rubber. I want something that kicks pretty good. You got a little, it's about a medium size, I would say, and you can put the front ones a little bit shorter than the back kickers. Put one on each side, and I'll just make sure there's no hair on the bottom. I want them to see that body. I get a whip finish on top here. And this works really well for a dropper and for fishing rivers. It really floats well. Lakes, I've had a lot of great times on lakes with this when the hoppers are out. All those big fish are in right tight to the shore after wind, or the wind's blowing a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll get I kind of splat it down as much as I can. I like to get a kind of aggressive cast. Make it splat on the water. That really gets their attention, and then just leave it sit. And then I'll flip it with my rod tip out of the water, just with the line kind of a little bit loose. It kicks really nice, and these legs do a great job of kicking, and the action just drives fish mad. So it's another one of my favorites. Put a little head cement on there. Take it to your favorite water, and good luck with this great little hopper pattern.
The Salmonfly hatch is an event that will be forever entrenched in your memory. Brent ties up a great foam pattern that imitates the bug nicely. Here are the materials you need to tie the fly. The fly is tied on a Gamakatsu-sized 10-dry fly hook. We are using black 6/0 tying thread. The body is orange larva lace medium foam. Brent uses a marker to darken to match the naturals. The wings is Shimazaki stonefly wing from Umpqua. The thorax and head is gray elk hair tied bullet style. There is 2 legs of black stretch floss added for movement to get some extra attention. Let's go to the bench with Brent.
Well, our next fly here is going to be a salmon fly. Great little dry fly action there. I'll try to get into a salmon fly hatch. Or have an opportunity. Don't miss it. It's quite an experience. Okay, let's get a hook and a vise and get going here. We're going to start with a needle this time. I'm going to start building my foam body. It's an extended foam body on this bug, and it looks pretty good from the bottom. I like the way it looks. It floats really nice. So I'm going to come in here. We'll grab our larvae lace closed cell foam again. This is the thinner stuff. I'm going to take a nice, about a 1/4 inch, or 1/8 of an inch, I should say, strip along the side here. Okay. There we go. Now I'll grab black flat thread. I'll just dress the shank here a little bit. Then we'll bring in our foam, and we want to get it right in the middle here. Foam it on the side. We're just going to take some on each side, but I want a little, just enough to kind of cover the end of it. Black thread. I'll come around with my next segment. I'll just keep working my fingers forward. Another little segment there. Take a couple turns. Come over the top to where I want my next one. There we go again. Take about 3 turns. Come over the top, in between, and you can start making these little bigger as you go down. Check it out, see if your thread's laying where you want it. That one's going to get a little too small. I need to run my thread just a little bit ahead. There we go. Get it about the same. You can get a needle and you can bend it and put it in your regular vise too, guys. Come forward here again, take a little, remember where you're at the bottom. And you're going to keep those, get a little bigger as we go. Not a lot, but then we'll come forward here to the next tie-in spot. There we go. Got a nice body. Now I'll just grab my whip finish. I can just do a couple half hitches in there. See, my whip finish tool won't quite reach it. There. Make sure you get it where it belongs. I'll put about 3 whip finishes in there. Now I can just push that off the needle ever so gently. Take the needle out, and I'll bring in a size 10 standard dry fly hook, Gamakatsu. Now you'll see this is wanting a curve. Now I don't try to buck the system there at all. Whatever way it's curving is what I'm going to work with. So that's the way it wants basically to lie up. There's a little bit of a opening there. You can barely see it. I wouldn't worry about it. I would want this morsel curved up. And don't try to manipulate that foam any more than that, because you're not going to get it done. Okay, I'll get this laid down here really nice and tight. Actually, I should have that a little bit shorter, a little bit too long. There we go. Get it about right there at that segment. There we go. Get all these ends tied up nice. Now for the wing, I use a Umpqua product here, Stonefly wing. I just use these. I have some cutters that I use for my other foam, and I just cut the wing on that. If not, do it by hand. But it's a really nice Stonefly wing. I'll just lay that right on top. Very realistic. There. Looks good from the bottom. Looks good from the top. Okay, now I'll coat all this down. Could put a little dubbing in there if you want, but I'm just gonna grab some of this. This is gray elk. Come in with a good pinch of that. Grab it by the tips, get my bone comb, clean it out. These tips aren't real super nice and straight, but it'll work. Come out here. Actually, it'll look a lot better once I get it cleaned and out. And bring it from my other hand. I switch, use my extra scissors again like we did in the last fly. And we're going to get our butts tied in here. 1/8 of an inch or so back. Get 3 good turns on it. I'm using a little bit thinner thread here. Elk's a little slipperier. And just keep going around. If that hair wants to go around the hook, let it do its thing until it's nice and secure, and then I'll come back to my tie-off point. I'm quite a ways back further than I was in my hopper with this one. Okay, but then I'll bring my bullet head tool in again. See, and when I pull back, got too much hook showing there. So that means I need to do is go further ahead. And if I push there, I'm right tight against the eye where I want to be now. I want to tie it off. I'm going to tie this head a little bit longer than the hopper because I want it to form part of my body. I'll push it back. Bullet heads are easy to throw. Also push some water. Float really nice. A couple here that aren't behaving, so I'm just going to give them a little trim out of there. Then I'll grab some this stretch floss, super stretch. A couple pieces of that. Soft turn, we'll pull one set closest. Push another set away. Do whip finish. And you cement that head. Now what you want to do is make sure you get a little bit of this hair trimmed on the bottom to expose that orange. There you go. Looks good from the bottom. Kicks a little bit. Nice little movement there. Check it out. If you ever get over to Madison or any of them, I got a chance to be on the Madison one day. It was just salmon flies would choke you. They were just so thick. great destinations. Do a little research, hook up with a good guide, and I'll roll you down some beautiful water. It'll be a day you'll never forget if you can get into some really good stonefly or salmonfly action, or stoneflies by that matter too. All right, thanks for watching. We'll go to the next one.
The Zonker Booby can be fished for many species of freshwater and saltwater game fish. Brent is tying a large game fish booby in this demonstration. You can tie these up in various sizes and colors for your situation. The white Zonker Booby has worked very well in lakes and rivers in our travels. Let's go over the materials needed to tie this fly. Brent is tying this fly on a TMC 800S hook size 6. He will be using 6/0 red thread to wrap the fly. The tag is red pearl crystal flash. The body is Rainey's round foam with pearl mylar piping around the body. The eyes are 7mm round foam cylinder. The wing is Semperfly synthetic rabbit in silver fox color. There is 1/4-inch ultra eyes added for attraction. Let's go to the bench with Brent.
Any species will eat this fly right here. It's a Zonker Booby, and I'm just going to use some red pearl crystal flash poking out the end here. And it really bounces the light. You can put a little more on there if you like. Wouldn't go too crazy with this stuff. That's more than enough right there. Okay. Then I'll come over, I'm going to make sure this fly floats a lot. So I'm bringing in some kind of a medium-sized float foam here again. Rainey's float foam, the cylinder. I'm just going to cut a small little chunk of that, and I'll grab my razor knife, little razor blade here, and I'm just going to get a bit of a slit halfway down the center of it, so I can lay it across the shank. I better get my knife again. I couldn't quite see it there. Got to be careful you don't cut too far. You got two pieces. Okay. There, that envelope's around there pretty good. Now this is for extra flotation right at this point. So I'm not worried about where that thread's really going. But I want to get this just a little extra. I'm going to come in the rear again. Then I'll bring in some pearl mylar here. This is a good pearl weave, mylar piping. Around the outside. And that can just sit right in there like so. You can tie that off right there is what I would do. Okay. Then we're going to come back. We got to make sure we leave enough space for the eye here. Just kind of gives that a little extra bling. Looks good underneath. Tones that orange down a little bit. And if you want to use orange head, go for it. But I'm going to be using, these are soft foam cylinders in red, 7mm. Nice big heavy foam pieces. I'm going to cut my eyes right there. Get 3 of them out of each cylinder easily. I'll make sure that I come in the center. And I'll X that on. This fly will float like a cork, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It's a really interesting fly to fish with floating lines or sinking lines. And you can tie this fly smaller as well. And then we come in with some another really cool stuff. Is this synthetic rabbit zonker strips. This is silver fox color. And I think I got a piece laying right here. I do, yes. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't absorb water. Pick it up. And it's it's good to go. So I'll tie that in right behind the eyes. And it's about the right length. I had that all predetermined. That's going to fish really well. Zonker Booby. Okay. Now, if you want to make a collar out of this stuff, I just want to show you how we can do that. This comes, that Zonker strip is actually sewn together down here. So what I would do is get these apart. There we go. Just takes a minute to kind of find them. It's probably the best way is just get my bodkin needle in here. Oh, it's not my bodkin. Where'd it go? I'll grab one of these. And I'll just cut that right where I found that. And then you can work it apart. And then you can use that for hackle. I should have this prepped. I thought, well, I'll just show you real quick how it goes. Usually when you got the video camera going, it's not, you can't do anything quick. But, so you can thin that down a little bit, as you can see. So we'll just go ahead with that, and it's really a nice product. I'm going to take a turn of that in behind, just to kind of fill my void there. Kind of fills everything up. Kind of a funny looking guy, but it works. Caught lots of different species with a Zonker Booby. Kind of a weird looking contraption. This is a big one. This is a really big fly. You're going to need to put some head cement on that, or UV would be even better. And then what I need to do for sure, what I like to do with this fly is I'll put eyes on it. Your dome eyes. I'll just get them as big as I can fit on there. Great target for species like, you know, snook or something like that that's going to be waiting to ambush their food. There it is. You could, and I would put some UV over top of that, make sure they stay on. They're not going anywhere. But that fly, you can take a sinking line, get it down, maybe even with a sink. No, not a heavy sink tip, but something just to get it below the surface, and then watch it float up. When it comes up, like so forth, I just lost my eye there. Didn't have it secure, but it's a great looking bug. And when these flies come up at an angle in front of a fish, it's really, really hard for them to say no. It's just an action that, you know, the whatever they're looking at there is going to get away on them. They either got to pull the trigger, either eat it or leave it. So it's a good bug. This is a larger one. Tie this one, it'll push some water, as you can see. And with that synthetic strip there from Salmonfly, that's a really nice fly for you. So try a few of these out, the Zonker Booby, and I wouldn't be afraid to fish pike with that, or even that small. Do them in white. You can fish trout. Take them a little smaller if you want. I would go like, here's an owner size 2. Nice wide gape, but I would downsize that maybe about halfway. Would be killer on many, many trout waters. So you fish it up top. As a dry fly if you want. It'll sit up there because I put the extra foam in the body too. So there you go. Zonker Booby.
The Gurgler was created by Jack Gartside in 1988. It has found favor in the hands of saltwater and freshwater fly anglers for decades. The Gurgler is such a versatile fly tied in various colors and sizes to suit many species. Brent is tying up his favorite for saltwater, and he has caught snook, tarpon along with lots of jack crevalle to name a few with this great fly. Let's get the materials to tie the fly. We are tying this fly on a Daiiki 930 size 2/0 hook, and using red 6/0 thread as well as some white 3/0 flat thread. The tail is white craft fur with silly legs and fire tip orange as well as silver. There is some highlights of light orange crystal flash added. The tail is topped with some barred craft fur. The body is large larva lace closed cell foam. The body is palmered with medium pearl and fluorescent fire orange. Let's get to the bench.
Well, here's one of my favorite saltwater flies for definite, Gurgler. This fly has been around a long time with many uses, and I think they've caught everything that swims with a Gurgler at some point. This is a version I do for my saltwater trips. I'm going to come in here with some extra select craft fur. Start with that. Really moves nice in the water. Dries off good. I take a little bit of that under fur out. Take a little of that bulk out of it right away. Let's get that started right there. And then I'm going to start fixing my tailing material up. I'll put in a little bit of this pale orange crystal flash. A little bling for it. Hide some of that in there. This fly I've fished and it's used it a lot, so I take a lot of them. Especially been in Florida the last number of years, and we've caught lots of snook with this fly. Caught tarpon with it. Jack crevalle are all over it. I have a lot of fun fishing jacks with this bug. Then I'll bring in some rubber hackle here. I'll just bring in here some orange. I got a couple, 3 strands of that. 2 on each side. Fishing these gurglers or any dry fly, just it's a hoot. And there's a lot of guys that kind of snub their nose when you mention Jack crevalle. They think they're kind of a trash fish. I beg to differ. They pull about as hard pound for pound as anything out there. And there's a lot of good fish in the salt. It's a lot of fun. If you ever get a chance to do it, get on it. Now I'm going to bring in a little more of my craft fur here. Just going to leave some of the bulk in here. I don't want to overdo it with the flash. I want it to be in there, but I don't want it to be like just stupid bright. And I'm coming around now probably to the tip, the end of the hook here actually. Okay. Now I'll bring in some silver and white. A couple, I'll take 3 of those hackles. Rubber. This is nice and bright. Bounce the light off good. And you tie that in is right on top here. And there we go. And just to tone it down, I'm going to bring in, I got a little of this barred craft fur. We found that, or Diane found that down in Florida somewhere, I believe. Bought me a bunch of it. Boy, I've used it. I really like it. And I'll just give that just a little topping there just to make it look more like a fly. Okay. I'll just cut these butts off. Bit of an angle. Now, we will want to clean off my desk here so I can see what I'm doing. Bring in my foam, and this is the important foam here is the larvae lace. It's the extra wide, this closed cell foam. This stuff floats like a cork. I'm going to come to the front, pinch that down, and we're going to wrap this back, kind of a bubble. And I'm using a 6/0 straight thread here too, and it doesn't cut it. It's a very tough material. Now I'm coming right back over again. I'm going to sneak back as far as I can get. Now I'm back right above my tying point on the tail actually. Okay. Now I'll bring in some of this medium Palmer chenille. Tie Put that on. There's some pearl. I'll bring in a little bit of orange, medium, just for giggles. Give it a little bit of highlight if you want to do so. You can do that. I've done that where I've added the pink, and I do fish them just straight white, which is just fine. If that's, you don't have to buy these other colors, you don't want to. I'm coming right to the front. Now we got, I should actually have my white thread on there. Coming forward here. Because I have some sitting right beside me and I'm not using it. I'll just tie that off. Okay, let me grab my white and I'll get right over top of that and that'll hold that all in. Should have been timed with white all along. It doesn't show through. You can put some other chenille over top of it too, if you want. Okay. Let me come back one more time. I'll just show you that extra little coloration you get when you bring that other. I just try to leave this bottom so it's not overbearing there at all. And we're going to do the whole body here with Palmer chenille. This I can see a mile away. I'll get some good turns down here on this. I got the real nice flat, about a 3/0. Pull my gurgler over the top. I don't stretch it down too much. Around the front, get some good soft turns. Tighten down a little more and more and more as we come. Pull it back, get some turns ahead of the, behind the eye there. Get my whip finish tool. And then that'll get some epoxy. Another thing you'll want to do is epoxy the head on this fly. I'll tell you that, then I'll trim this at a bit of a straight across, okay? I'll come down at each corner, I'll knock the corners off. And that's what gives you your gurgler action, okay? And after this fly gets used a lot, this kind of gets a little soft. So I would suggest coming in here with some UV resin. Just firm that up. We'll bring quite a bit in there, and then just let it run down the front. But it'll secure that where it really holds its shape well for you. Like it won't get weak. Because that's the popper. That's what makes that noise. And that's what gets the attention of the fish. Make sure that's cooked on good and solid. But you can see the UV that didn't poke through any there. I got that all nicely hackled down the bottom. This fly casts very, very easily. It dries off super fast. And you can throw it all day long. And believe me, when you're catching fish up top with it, you will be fishing it all day long. It's just so much fun. So there it is. There's my gurgler. For the saltwater, you can go to many different species with this fly, and you're going to have a great time with it. Let's go on to the last one.
This is an amazing little fly for cutthroat trout and has also worked great on other waters for rainbows. Kelly Latch from St. Mary's Anglers has tied this fly. Brent has made a few variations to the original pattern. We have found it to be one of our favorites across the country. Make sure to have these materials ready to tie the fly. Brent ties this fly on a Daiichi 1280 dry fly hook size 10 and 12. The fly is wrapped with 6/0 hot pink thread. The underbody is hot pink ice dub. The body is tanned in brown craft foam. The wing is white poly yarn with a few strands of rainbow crystal flash. The thorax is peacock eye stub. There is 2 sets of brown sexy legs added for movement.
Well, folks, here's a good little fly we're going to wrap it up with today. It's a little pinky. Seen this, Kelly Latch was tying some of these in the shop. I stopped in there one day over at Cranbrook, and he was tying some of these up for his clients. He's ready to get out. And I wrapped a few up, tried them on the water. Boy, I'll tell you, it's a good one. And just want to give a shout out to Kelly. I do appreciate these guys when they help everybody. They're in there not just for the money. These people are working hard, and they just love seeing people catch fish. I know it's almost payment enough for them some days, and it can be a hard day on the water. I know lots of times weather's not cooperating or the fish or whatever, but I just want to give a shout out to all the guides out there working and doing a hell of a job. I'm coming in here with some ice stub underneath here in hot pink. This is a UV pink, and we found this color here. This pink color is just fish really just love eating it. I know Dale's taking this fly up over to the Thompson. I know he said it was outfished their top flies that they've been using for years. He said no, it's no contest. So it's good. We've visited many different water bodies, and I want to get my little sexy legs here. I bought them at Kelly's shop actually not too long after. I listen to them guys when they suggest try different products or whatever. I'm all over it. They're not just there to make a couple bucks selling you some stuff. They're there to help you, and make sure you support these guys too. If you can deal with a local shop or even an online shop, that if you're tucked away out of the way, I get it, but you want these stores to be in operation. There's lots of them that we lost over the many years ago. There were some tough times out there. I know I was one of them. Lots of them American, they were shut down. I forget how many. It was nuts. So appreciate all these guys sticking through it, and boy, there's some good stores around the country. So I come over the top. I just segmented those pieces in there. Brought a great bright little body. What I should have done is put a little cement on that, just to hold it very, very firm. I really don't worry about it too much because it's not going anywhere. Then I'll come in here with some of this rainbow crystal flash under the wing. Tie that on top. That comes right to the end of the body. Just trim it at a bit of an angle. Then I'll bring in some of this floating poly yarn. Here again, I don't want it too long. I want it just enough. I want to fold it over itself. Just a little bit stronger. Trim them butts off. That wing sits down pretty good. Anything too long, grab it, get it out of there. So, once you kind of get on them, I'm tying one at a time here, but when you sit down to tie flies, I would say make sure, if it fly's worth tying one, you want to make sure you tie at least half a dozen. A dozen even better. And if you sit down and tie 100 of them, you're going to get really consistent, and it's going to look really good for you, okay? I've got my head going in there now. I'm going to come in with this peacock ice stub. I guess I didn't get to see Kelly's totally. I just kind of seen it from ways back, and I couldn't kind of figure out what he was doing there. And I went back home and kind of, maybe I added a few things, whatever I usually do. I'd say mine works better. His works working just fine, I'm sure. So we come over the top. It's going to come right behind the eye now. I'll bring my thread behind the dubbing. Okay. I'm going to bubble that up, just a little bit of a bubble. And then I can cut that in a V, but I'll do that a little later. I want to get another one of my legs tied off in the front. They are silly legs. These things are wonky. They got a little, quite a cool action to them too, actually. That's one thing I must say about them. They swim a little more erratic than the other ones. They're really, sometimes you wonder why the heck they charge so much for something, but it's new and different, but it's got a little different characteristics sometimes. There we go. I got my legs in the front, the back. I'm just going to tie it off right there. And this, even our friend Connie, she had this one on the day I told her they went over fishing cutthroats, and she put on a clinic with it. I guess she did really good. So nice to see. Now I'm just going to trim this foam up a little bit. That's going to push, and away you go. I think I caught one of my little legs in the action here in the back side. It's okay, I'll get that pulled out for you, but great little fly. So thanks Kelly Latch for inspiring me for that one. It's a great fly. So get over that way, stop and see him and Karen in the shop. Catch you later. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again on another series.
We would like to thank Brent for sharing these flies with us today. Hope this will inspire you to tie some up for your next fishing trip. We appreciate you joining us again for another Pro Team demonstration. Make sure to visit our website or YouTube channel for TV episodes spanning 25 years along with hundreds of fly tying videos. Our online shop has some flies for sales exclusive to sport fishing on the fly, as well as some fishing clothing that will make your day on the water more enjoyable.